Fighting for freedom, liberty, and the restoration of the Constitution. The Patrick Riggins Show. Call in now at 865-243-8255. That's 243-TALK. And now your host, Patrick Riggins.
Welcome back to the Patrick Riggins Show here on the Libertarian Lighthouse Radio Network. Good words to live by. If you don't like the way I'm living, you just leave this long-haired country boy alone.
I've been saying that for years.
I don't have the hair to say that. Now you do, but I don't have.
I got the hair, and I was raised in Seymour, so
there you go.
I believe that would pretty much classify me as a long-haired country boy.
This was your national anthem.
No, it's Freebird.
Freebird, yes, exactly. Yeah, that is correct. All right. You know, the only problem is we have too many people in this country who feel it is their duty to not leave you alone. They feel it is their duty to tell you what to do. And if you don't want to live the way they think you should, well, they're more than happy to pass a law mandating it. And this isn't a recent phenomenon. It has been going on since the founding of this country. The reason it has gotten out of hand lately is because we've allowed it to do so. We've stopped fighting in this country, all in the name of, quote, getting along. You hear it every time someone talks about Congress. They just need to work together or work with the president. Well, who says that? When have we ever in this country agreed on every single issue? We haven't. What working together means is increasing government's reach into American citizens' lives. So every time you hear a politician mention that, this getting along phrase, just know they're talking about working together to tell you what to do. That's all it means. Since this is what they mean by working together, I don't want them doing it. I'm more than happy to watch everyone in Washington fight each other and get nothing done. Because getting nothing done means they aren't passing more asinine laws and regulations which remove more of our freedom, infringing on our rights as citizens. Something I wanted to get to during this segment, kind of getting off that a little bit, it's this massive hysteria over Marco Rubio. The regular listeners to this show were tipped off to his agenda and real principles way back during the summer of last year. These guys are not hard to figure out. And I had Mr. Rubio pegged from the moment he started to become a prominent person in the Republican Party. I even talked about him on this very radio show, pointing out through his own words how he is a big government type of person, just like his fellow establishment Republicans. If you'd like to hear any of that, you can go to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Patrick Riggins Show and just scroll down through there and you'll see where he's in one of the titles, Marco Rubio, and you'll find the shows on which I did reveal his true character. You can almost hear the Republicans, though, rejoicing over their pushing of Marco Rubio to the upper echelons of the party. You know, boy, we have these Hispanics now. Finally, we have someone who looks just like them and talks just like them. You know, those Democrats beat us to the punch with a black president, but we'll get the first Hispanic. They're more important anyway. The Hispanic population is growing faster than any other minority, so we got them now. Those people are so stupid, they'll vote for someone just because he looks like them. It doesn't matter on the issues. As long as they have a Hispanic name, we are set. They got to vote for us now. We have one of theirs on our team.
We got one!
Here's an idea, Republicans. How about just guaranteeing freedom? No, that won't work. Besides, they don't want freedom. They just want to be reelected. And however they have to do that, that's what they'll do. You can just hear them, that those brain-dead Hispanics have to vote for us now. That's all they want to see, someone like them as president. Is it me, or does that sound blatantly racist? Freedom and liberty won't win. We have to buy people off. We have to run someone who looks like them because they're too stupid to understand an idea like freedom and liberty. Besides, they're not used to having it anyway, right? So why bother making the argument? Won't ending the fruitless drug war help their home country more than anything? It would wreck the profits of the drug cartels. It would drastically lower the amount of violence in Mexico, and Central America for that matter, and here in America too. Much of that violence takes place in the inner city ghettos where these minorities live. So ending a drug war would put a huge dent in all the violence of those areas of town. Nope. Just run a Hispanic. Get as many votes of that group as we can, and then go out about our merry big government way. So, since we have a little time, I'd like to quickly address Mr. Rubio's remarks. He's a Hispanic, you know, and a Republican. Now, he was picked to give the Republican response to President Obama's State of the Union address this last week. Now, he started off in part with this statement.
But America is exceptional because we believe that every life at every stage is precious, and that everyone everywhere has a God-given right to go as far as their talents and hard work will take them.
Wrong, Mr. Hispanic Republican Rubio. America is exceptional because of freedom. Other countries believe that every life at every stage is precious. They also believe that everyone has a right to go as far as their talents and hard work will take them. But not many countries, including ours now, believe their citizens should be free to do as they wish as long as they are not infringing on another person's rights. That is the difference, Mr. Rubio. Sure, you're a first-generation American in your family, but you are falling right into the long line of government-knows-best politicians that we have had throughout our country's history. You are no different than any of the other big government types that are sold to us by the Washington establishment every year. In this next clip, Mr. Rubio, you know, he's Hispanic. I don't know if you knew that or not, but he is. And he's also Republican. There's a rumor that he might be conservative as well. So I guess if he was gay, that would just about cover everything. But getting back to this, Mr. Rubio attempts to persuade you with some nice limited government talk. And as you soon will hear, that's really all it is talk.
More government isn't going to help you get ahead. It's going to hold you back. More government isn't going to create more opportunities. It's going to limit them. And more government isn't going to inspire new ideas, new businesses, and new private sector jobs. It's going to create uncertainty. Because more government breeds complicated rules and laws that small businesses can't afford to follow. Because more government raises taxes on employers who then pass the costs on to their employees through fewer hours, lower pay, and even layoffs. And because many government programs that claim to help the middle class often end up hurting them.
Doesn't that make you just feel all warm and fuzzy? He is talking about how government is not the answer. Just like the clips I played from Ronald Reagan's inaugural address last week on this show. He even adds to this to bolster his limited government argument, a government limited to the powers enumerated in the Constitution.
Now, does this mean that there's no role for government? Of course not. It plays a crucial part in keeping us safe, enforcing rules, and providing some security against the risks of modern life. But government's role is wisely limited by the Constitution, and it can't play its essential role when it ignores those limits.
Now we're starting to see what he really believes. He states that part of the government's role is providing some security against the risks of modern life. But then in the very next line, Mr. Rubio, Mr. Hispanic Rubio, you know, did you note that he's Hispanic? The Republican establishment wants to be sure you know that. He's Hispanic and he's a Republican. But anyway, so he states part of the government's role is to provide some security against the risk of modern life. But in the very next breath says, but government's role is wisely limited by the Constitution, and it can't play its essential role when it ignores those limits. Oh, where in the Constitution, Mr. Rubio, does it state the government is to provide us security against the risks of modern life? Where was that? Oh, yeah, it's not in the Constitution. I guess that's not part of government's role then.
When we suggest we strengthen our safety net programs by giving states more flexibility to manage them, he accuses us of wanting to leave the elderly and the disabled to fend for themselves.
That's what he means. The old safety net programs mentioned in the Constitution. Can't seem to find that in there either. But wait a minute, Mr. Rubio. Here's what you just said.
But government's role is wisely limited by the Constitution, and it can't play its essential role when it ignores those limits.
So which is it? Are we going to have an unconstitutional safety net? Or are we going to limit government to what the Constitution specifies? You can't have it both ways.
Hardworking middle-class Americans who don't need us to come up with a plan to grow the government. They need a plan to grow the middle class.
Isn't it interesting as we get more and more into Mr. Rubio's speech, you start to see how his solutions are really no different than the president's or the Democrats. More government. We don't need a plan to, quote, grow the middle class. What we need is a government to stop trying to manage our lives and let us do it ourselves. The government cannot grow anything. All it can do is get it in the way. These are the types of people we're dealing with. The Republicans, Democrats, they are all big government people. What I find fascinating is how I see libertarian-leaning Republicans pinning their hopes on this guy just because the establishment says he can win, even though he is standing here telling you he wants the government to solve all these problems and that he thinks government is the answer. Yet there are those in the Republican Party who will ignore all of this. Now, I don't know if it's blind loyalty or ignorance or a lack of self-confidence or maybe being taught to believe whatever a so-called expert tells you. All right, we're up on the half-hour break here on the Patrick Riggins Show. We get here so quickly because we pack so much into a show. It's like concentrated Tide or Clorox or something like that.
It's concentrated goodness.
Concentrated goodness, exactly. Yes. You don't need as much, but it's all right in there.
And it's all good.
And it is all good. This is the Patrick Riggins Show. We'll be back after this bottom of the hour break.